So Christian Eriksen, he started for Denmark against Finland in their opener in Copenhagen this past Saturday. He played pretty much the entire first half, and then during a throw-in, the ball was going to be thrown at his direction. He moved to make himself some space, and then he collapses out of nowhere. And usually when you see a player collapse with no contact, you think, "Oh, tore his ACL, pulled a hamstring, or something happened." But he literally just collapsed face first. This was around the 42nd minute marker, around that time, 42, 43 minutes. And it's maybe something that people didn't notice much because he fell. What wasn't noticed was that the ball actually hit him as he was on the ground. Not that it matters, but it's just like it's kind of weird. It's kind of crazy. He collapses, and immediately the referee stops the game. Anthony Taylor, he read the situation very well, stops the game, calls for medical attention. All the players, both from Denmark and from Finland, they huddle up and they see what's going on. Obviously, it was very, very concerning, very serious. And I was watching this live. Chris, I don't know if you were watching this live. I was legitimately scared. How did you feel about the way that everything unfolded and how dramatic it all was?
So it was crazy to see because you saw his face go deadpan, and he looked just his eyes were glazed over. So it was very scary to see what was going on. It was also very disappointing to see what the broadcast was focusing on, which was on his face and the faces of his family, and it was just not okay. It felt like even the people who were calling the game were saying that they should cut the studio. Um, but it was very scary, man. It was very scary. It was very obvious that something was wrong, and I think he should be very thankful for his teammates that were there because his captain. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. I think it's Simon
It's Simon. His name is Simon Kier. I practiced
Simon
that for like three
Kjær.
days.
He I think he's a center back at AC
Yes.
Milan.
Yeah.
He demonstrated everything what a captain should be on that day. I mean, he went over, ran to Christian Eriksen as soon as it happened, turned him over so he wouldn't swallow his tongue, lifted his head so he could clear the airways, and so he wouldn't have a seizure. Uh, Called the team over to huddle over so the cameras couldn't focus in on his face more than they were, and then went over to console his family. And that's everything you want in a player, everything you look for in a leader. I think everybody should go out and buy this guy's jersey. He's the player of the tournament already without scoring a goal or having an assist. And yeah, that's what that goes to. I mean, that reminds you the beautiful part of like this game. Like it's the humanity. It's being there for your brother. It's being there for the Danish the medical team were using Danish flags to cover Christian Eriksen. Like, and that was the opposing team. It just goes to show like everybody there just cares for each other. The opposing fans were chanting his name, and it's why we love this game. But it's a very scary moment. I don't think anybody will forget it because I'm pretty sure he had cardiac arrest, which means his heart stopped. And if it wasn't for the actions of his teammate and the medical team that was there and how they tended to him, we probably could have seen a death on live television, and that's
Yeah.
something I don't think any of us will forget.
No, absolutely not. And you are right, Chris. This was a cardiac arrest that Christian Eriksen suffered. He essentially was dead for a few seconds. So the medical staff had to bring him back to life. And that is an incredible trauma that of course his teammates had to go through, his family had to go through, all the fans in the stadium, or in their homes or at the bars watching the game. It was it was very, very traumatizing for everyone. I mean, I was watching the game and I couldn't believe it. I really thought that Christian Eriksen was dead. It felt like that because the faces of the players didn't say anything else. It didn't give us any positive vibes or anything that, okay, he's all right. It all felt very, very dramatic. And then also, obviously we all understand why they covered him up. They should, because that's his privacy. He was fighting for his life. But at the same time, it also caused us to ask a lot of questions like, oh my God, we think he is dead. We think he is dead because we weren't getting any word from anything. But like you said, going back to the captain, Simon Kjær, my goodness, what he did, unbelievable. You got to give him props. He essentially, because he acted so quick, he saved his life. But of course, it was a team effort in saving Christian Eriksen's life. And you said it best. That's what a captain should be. But we also have to mention Kasper Schmeichel, because Kasper Schmeichel, without being the actual captain, he showed what leadership should be as well, along with his captain Simon Kjær. He kind of tried to keep cool. He went over to Christian Eriksen's partner, talked to her a little bit, and maybe made the situation feel a little bit better. Probably told her, hey, he's breathing again. He's okay. He's conscious again. But Kasper Schmeichel, another great example. And I was listening to the BBC podcast, the Daily Euro podcast, and they were talking about how Kasper Schmeichel has had to live a good amount of traumatic experiences in his career. And by good amount, I think two was like too many. This one, and then when the owner of the club that he plays for died in a helicopter crash.
At the stadium. At the stadium. So this guy he's had to muster up the courage so many times to go out there and play a game that maybe he didn't want to play. And that's something that I want to ask you about. I want to get your thoughts. You did tell me a little bit about how you felt about the coverage of the actual game. It would have been easier for ESPN or wherever you were watching the game to cut back to studio. But I'm sure they were just in shock as much as we were. Of course. Can you blame them? Yes, of course you can. But I mean, when things like that happen, it's crazy. It's so much going on. But yes, they should have definitely cut back to studio. But let me ask you this, Chris. Do you think this game should have been played the way that it was? Because they obviously suspended it after Christian Eriksen was taken away and he was going to the hospital. But then they came back a few hours later and they finished off the game. Do you think that was the right call? Or should they have waited until Sunday? Or maybe just canceled it completely? I think it should have been canceled and replayed at the essentially today. Today's Tuesday the 15th, so I think today's the last day of match day one. It should have been played probably today or tomorrow, and give the players enough time to process what happened, given their teammate nearly died on the field.
Yeah.
You can see other players from different teams affected that weren't even there. So the guys who were there, I mean, don't get me wrong. They said Christian Eriksen told them to play, asked him to play, and he said he was to please play in his honor. But of course he's gonna say that. What else is he gonna say? Don't play, guys. I'm in the hospital. No, he's gonna say go out and play. He doesn't want to. Of course. He doesn't want it to be about him.
Of course.
I think they should have looked out for the team and just. There was no way those guys are going to play 90 minutes and be concentrated on a football match.
No.
There's no way.
Sure. No.
So, yeah, I think it definitely should have been postponed to today.
I mean, we can always talk about the players and the way that they looked when they were warming up to restart the game. Some of them were still crying. It was just so surreal to see these players have to almost brush off what happened, have to brush off the fact that their teammate, their friend, very nearly passed away right in front of their eyes. So, yeah, I actually didn't really think about it the way that you presented it right now, that they could have played it today, essentially. Full disclosure, again, we're recording on Tuesday the 15th. And what's crazy, Chris, I'm pretty sure you know this, and if you don't, you're welcome. Oh, I'm just kidding. There's certain protocols because of COVID-19 that games can be postponed. But what, does that only apply for COVID-19? Or can it apply for this type of stuff too? That sure, this happens rarely. But there has to be something in order for these games to be played at a different time, because 2 hours isn't enough to brush this off. A day isn't enough. 2 days aren't enough. And they made them play, but essentially they gave them two options. UEFA did, at least. They said you either play today or you play on Sunday, which was when they said tomorrow, which was Sunday. So they didn't really have much of an option. You might as well just get it out of the way.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough. Like I said, I wish they would have looked out for the players more, but they got to take it on the chin. They got to go 0-1.
Yeah, and who knows? This might really, really spark a run for Denmark now that they know that Christian Eriksen is okay. I'm gonna read his message in a bit, because he just wrote something on Instagram today. But who knows? Maybe this sparks a run for Denmark, and they do it for Christian Eriksen. How many times have we seen teams rally around one player that was hurt or that something personal happened to them? They rally around that person, and they end up doing something that maybe the general public didn't think was very possible. It happens quite often.
Yeah, yeah. You have to think they're gonna play in his honor. You don't know if he's ever gonna play again. It's like
Yeah.
it's all up in the air right now. So it's like, man, if you weren't up for a Euro, that Denmark's gonna be up for it now.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely will. They will definitely be up for playing these next few games. Now I'm gonna read what Christian Eriksen said, and the people that know him say that this is essentially who he is. This is what Christian Eriksen said. He said, "Hello everyone, big thanks for your sweet and amazing greetings and messages from all around the world. It means a lot to me and my family. I'm fine under the circumstances. I still have to go through some examinations at the hospital, but I feel okay. Now I will cheer on the boys on the Denmark team in the next matches. Play for all of Denmark. Best, Christian." Um, this does pretty much show who Christian Eriksen is. He just said, "Yeah, I'm good, but come on, Denmark, let's win this shit. Let's win this." And good for him. Good. It's great that Christian Eriksen is doing okay, but what scares me is that he didn't really show any symptoms. There's no history in his family. Who knows where this came from? That is so scary to me.
Yeah, you have to think. He's a soccer player, so they run all day and night. They got iron lungs, these guys.
Yeah.
And he's not just a soccer player. He's like a superstar. He's Christian Eriksen. I mean, everybody knows who he is.
Serie A winner.
Yeah, he was just playing in Tottenham in their golden era, and
Mm-hmm.
he's a world class player. So he's the cream of the crop, and these guys are monitored. I mean, all the time. Like every training session, they got their breathing, their heart rates, their how they sleep, everything. It's nuts.
Yeah. It's insane. And
If it could happen to someone like that, it could happen to any one of us. You know, it's just so scary. You got to take life. Can't take life for granted.
that's so true. That's so true, and it sucks that we need these types of examples to realize that life is so precious. And the good thing for Christian Eriksen is that he's alive, he's okay. We still don't know, like you said, we still don't know if he is going to play again or not. But he's okay. His family's okay now. Surely they were very scared at the time. Unfortunately, we saw his wife in incredible stress. We probably shouldn't have seen that, or not probably, we shouldn't have seen that, because that's a very private moment. I think that was worse than showing what was going on and like the players shielding Christian Eriksen. Showing his partner was way worse. That is something that someone has to be fired for that. But it really did show us. It showed us that Christian Eriksen. Oh, sorry. It showed us that life is precious, and Christian Eriksen, I mean, sadly, he had to be the example, but he's okay. He's fine now. Man, but how do we prevent these things? How is it even possible to prevent it? I mean, we've seen many cases, and there's been people that have shown symptoms, and people that do have that type of history in their families, but What do we do?
You know, the where I what I'm thinking is like last year, or not even last year, a few months ago, they just passed. I think it was UEFA or FIFA. One of them announced a new tournament. It's like a new. I don't want to say a European tournament, but it's just like another cup. And I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was Tony Cruz or someone from the Italian, well, someone from the Italian league. But they were saying like, how are we going to play 180 matches in 365 days? That's 2 days for every game. If you're at one of these top clubs, it's like there's no way you have enough time to recover the body.
Yeah.
And it's something that we were talking about in another segment where like these guys don't want to be backups anywhere. These guys want to be stars and play every game, and that's where we have to like they don't play three matches in a row, and there's this gossip of
Hmm.
where are these guys going, and it's like, man, back when we were growing up, these clubs were deep 20 player squads because they play so much games. So I think if we're gonna start somewhere, it's let's tone it down. Like we literally just had the Champions League final, what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and we're already starting a new tournament. It's like give these guys a break, man. We don't need soccer I mean, football every day and night. Like give these guys a break. And
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough. I get it. Like there's so much corporate sponsorship tied in, but things like this are just gonna keep happening. Like these guys can't hold up, man. Even if they're the cream of the crop, like I said earlier, there's no way the human body can play these many games.
It's impossible, man. It's impossible, and the intensity that's required to play these games at such a high level, that of course gets you more exhausted. But man, best of luck to Christian Eriksen in his recovery. Our best wishes to him and his family, of course. And the good thing is that it was just it. He's still with us. That's the best thing that we could have asked for. I remember when I saw on Twitter the picture of him with his head up and holding on to his oxygen mask. I'm like, okay, he's fine. He's okay. That's good. That's always good news.